Welcome into the number one group of five football podcast in all of the world. We are the group of five guys. Our mission is to be the pride and the voice of the group of five football programs that the mainstream sports media refuses to do. We need your help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcast, video or audio. Give us a subscribe, a like, a 5-star rating and review. And most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can go to group5guys.com and get you some Group of Five Guys merch. Hats, I believe, available now or very, very soon. In this episode, we have Inside Drill interview with App State head coach Shawn Clark. Big bounce back year for the Mountaineers. Enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
Lee Corso is a guy who had a retirement party 10 years ago, and yet he still won't leave the office.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. That's incredible.
That's
the wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the group of five.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
I really appreciate you do for the group of five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this, but you guys are on the forefront of this. And
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the group of five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
I appreciate what you guys do, truthfully, covering the group of five. Y'all said it earlier, but the Sun Belt to me is college football.
In this episode of Inside Drill with the group of five guys, coming on for the third time, which, by the way, is tied for the lead of coaches all time on the group of five guys show, App State head coach Shawn Clark. Coach, thank you so much for coming on again.
now I appreciate you guys having me on. I always look forward to this, to the best, one of the best shows in all college football. So appreciate what you guys do for the group of five, and I look forward to a great year with you guys.
Coach, other than dropping a few pounds, summer, you get some time off. What'd you get to do this summer?
Well, I'm not sure about how much time we got off. We have a 14-year-old daughter who's in travel volleyball, and an 11-year-old son is in travel baseball. Your summers are pretty well full, but we were able to get away to the lake, Watauga Lake over in Tennessee for about 10 days, and kind of to reset your bodies in some ways. It was good to get a little sunshine and to be able to get back to Boone the first of August, ready for this fall camp.
If you're like a legit athlete or just trying to be a legit athlete, it's like travel ball is just that thing now. It's like be ready for the summertime, traveling, gas, hotels, everything. I work with some guys, their daughters do travel basketball in the summertime. He hasn't had a free weekend in 3 months.
It's great. It's crazy right now. We took our daughter to Orlando for the national 14U tournament. There's 700 teams. So now you have a small team here in Boone, North Carolina playing a team from Hawaii the first game.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of fun, great exposure for her. It's something she'll never forget. And but again, they're only young once. So I did the math that they have 4 more years of her left in the house. So we're going to celebrate and enjoy every second of it.
For sure.
Awesome. Love it, Coach. Well, you said you don't get a lot of time off. You got no time off now. So you're you're a little over halfway through camp. Camp's about over as week 0 comes along. Tell us about camp. How'd it go? How's it going?
We had a really a physical camp, in my opinion. It's probably the most physical camp we've had in a long time here. And now we started on August the 2nd, I believe was report day. First day was August 3rd. So we had 15 physical practices there. And I like where our team is right now. They're not afraid to work. We're going to be a young football team in some ways, and we'll make some mistakes, but I really think our team speed will make up for those mistakes. And there's a lot of fun to be around. When I said that they love each other. They're very competitive. As you guys know, through fall camp, we have a few skirmishes here and there, and that's fun to see. As a position coach, you want to fight all the time. Once you're the head coach, you would think to settle down a little bit. But I think we're right where we need to be for this moment in time, with 2 weeks left before our first game.
And you mentioned being young. You lose Chase Bryce last year. He graduated. He'd been there for a few years, upperclassman. Quarterback might be your youngest position that you have on the roster. You got Ryan Berger and Joey Aguilar seems to be, the top two guys, and a lot of younger guys as well. How's the quarterback situation looking right now?
It's very competitive. It's down to a two-man race right now, and we went to fall camp. And to be fair to all three quarterbacks, we had Mason McHugh and Joey and Ryan. That we want to make sure they all got their fair amount of reps to make it competitive as we possibly could be. And it's down to two with Joey and Ryan. And if you look back in time, this is we haven't had a young quarterback since Taylor Lamb. I think that was 2014, and then Zach Thomas comes in, has a spectacular game against Penn State, and the rest is history for him. And bring Chase Bryce in, who came in, did a great job for our program. And now we're breaking a new quarterback. The good thing is Coach Ponce is back to lead our offense. He came back from the University of Miami, and he recruited Ryan, and he's really the one that got us on Joey late. Joey's from California, and he had Power Five interest there at the very end, and we were able to get him on campus, and he fell in love with Boone. So he canceled the rest of his trips and committed to us and signed on signing date. So I like where they are right now. They bring something different to the table than with Chase. Chase had an outstanding arm and could run and get you 5 or 10 yards. These guys can go 55 or 60 yards. Brian's a 4.5 and Joey's 4.6, and they can really beat you with your feet. So that helps you out in the run game. You have to be able to account for, not only, spread them out and have 5 wide, but you also have to be able to account for the quarterback. So hopefully this week will give us a clear picture of where we are as far as the quarterback goes. And we hope to make an announcement on next Monday who our quarterback will be.
Have you had the Ryan burger yet?
I have not. It just came out the 1st of August, and I had to go on this thing called a diet, unfortunately.
Those are brutal.
Because my pants and my shirts wouldn't fit. So I was wearing like skin tight jeans, and I'm not a skinny jeans kind of guy, So, but hopefully next week I'll get a chance to try the Ryan burger out and put a little money in his pocket.
When you talk about the physicality of camp and said this has been the more physical camps that you've been a part of, was that something that you kind of approached this camp and said, hey, we're going to get back to our roots a little bit. We're going to try to run the ball a little more. Not saying you didn't run the ball last year. Obviously, you had Cam Peoples. But when I looked as a fan, I'm looking at Chase Bryce. He was kind of the guy that kind of led the offense. And y'all were airing it out a little bit. Just me assuming, I'm thinking that you're going to try to get back to run the ball a little bit. And I'm thinking you, as an O-line guy, were probably doing 3 periods of inside. And we'll call, what was that drill called, Sprouse? You had 3 offensive linemen. You're doing stretch all the time. We get the Dean and
pods.
Little pods.
Yeah,
I can only imagine your physical practices.
We had a physical practice, and you sit back and look at it. To me, there's 2 drills in college football that's going to make or break you, and to me, it's inside run, and then 1-on-1 pass pro with the O line, D line. The rest of stuff really don't matter if you can't block them. So to be able to say, hey, we're going to run the ball to the left A gap, and you stop us, and if you can do that, you got a chance to win. And every time we had shoulder pads on, we were in kind of team run or inside drill and 1-on-1 pass. But we had really good offensive lines here back in the day. We have a good line this year, but when inside run drill came up or a 1-on-1 pass, it was a show. Practice with stops at times because a little extra push here, extra push there, then hey, all hell broke loose, and that's a good thing sometimes because that puts you on the edge. And we saw that through as fall camp went on that. Actually, you're going to the 14th or 15th practice, you get tired of people pushing you back and forth, and it's time to draw a line in the sand. So those are my 2 favorite drills by far. The rest of the stuff, it matters, but if you can't block and you can't block a man in pass pro and the run game really don't matter.
And as a fellow offensive lineman, I mean, those are 2 drills that, you're going to get better as offensive lineman because they're 2 drills that you really, you're behind the 8 ball. When you're doing inside drill, usually you have 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and sometimes just to be an ass, the defense will put a safety up there too. You're supposed to block everybody, and they know the run's coming. And then in pass rush, at least in a game or in a scrimmage, they don't know it's going to be a pass. This guy's going to come off the edge harder than he ever can, and you're expected to block this guy in pass rush. And if those guys are able to fulfill and win those battles at practice, it makes the game a lot easier. You talked about the offensive line. You had a good offensive line last year, but we know he lost Cooper Hodges and Troy Everett. But that being said, I mean, Isaiah Helms, he's going to be the leader for y'all at center. And I know y'all got Griffin Scroggs from Georgia, right? So you got your O line. I mean, y'all should be resetting this year and be loaded up front.
Yeah, we returned 3 stars from last year, and Isaiah Helms and Bucky Williams and Damian Daly on the inside, and yeah, we had to replace 2 tackles. Anderson Hardy signed a free agent deal with Kansas City, and Cooper was drafted in the 7th round to Jacksonville. But I really like our young tackles. I think it starts with Markel Samuel, our left tackle, and Jane Ramsey, our right tackle. We were able to bring in a transfer from Marshall. Jack Murphy, who gives quality depth, is competing for a spot, and Thornton Gentry from NC State. He came in and really solidified where we needed some space. He can play outside and inside, and gives us a lot of room to move as far as the combination of things. And we don't really pigeonhole someone in one spot. Yeah, you're only a tackle, you're only a guard, and if you can play center, you can play guard. If you can play guard, you can play tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're going to put the best 5 out there. We rank our offensive linemen in the top 10, and we're not going to put the 9th best lineman in if someone gets hurt just because he's a tackle. We're going to put the number 6 guy in and adjust our offensive line. So we got some depth there. Coach Cummings came in from Cincinnati, and he's brought an old school mentality back, which I like to see. And you can really tell in practice. He's that O-line coach that grinds you during practice, and they can't stand you. And then once practice is over, man, they're all in his office cutting up. So that's what I was looking for after Jeep went to Georgia Tech. He left there. Not so much for a better job, probably more money, but I like our line where we are right now.
Coach, last year when we had you on, you said people of Boone win or win, and they love you. So, last year was a tough season for App State standards. Do you consider going into this year as kind of a bounce back year or a redemption, or are you putting last year completely behind you and moving forward?
Well, you can't ever look in the rearview mirror, and I've lived my life that way as a person. And if you make a mistake, hey, you learn from it and you move on, and that's what we did. We're not going to step back and we had some big moments last year. People kind of forget that. And anytime you go to A&M, it was ranked 6th in the country at the time, and have a monumental win in College Station. You come back here and you have College Game Day here for the first time in the history of App State, and it really is the second time only in the Sun Belt history of the Sun Belt. And then you have a great game there, and we're on a Hail Mary versus the eventual champion in Troy. I mean, we started off as the darling of college football in the month of September, and that was a roller coaster ride. And you have a few injuries here and a few injuries there, and you lose a few games, and man, you can't look in the rearview mirror. So it's not a redemption year; it's just a reset. And there's high expectations here at App. There's no doubt about it. 6-6 isn't good enough, and if you don't win every game, it's not good enough. And some people say, is that pressure? And those are expectations, and you'd rather have people with high expectations who love your program and who come to watch you play. This is the second year in a row we sold out our season tickets. We'll hopefully set a new all-time record in the Sun Belt. I think we sold 4 games out. We're ready to announce 2 more here in the near future. So, and big things are happening at App right now.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and we were at that North Carolina game week 1, and what an atmosphere. And we talk about it on our deal all the time. We had a season where we went on the road to a Power 5 and kind of outplayed them. Should have won, could have won, and we lost, and it changed the whole season. So you guys, you just never know. And like you said, you get an injury, you get one play here, one play there, and a 6-win season could be a 10-win season or a conference championship season. So I think you're right on for having the expectations, and I know your fans expect it. I don't think they could care less about any one play or one injury. They just want to win them all. So
no,
we're
the
looking
difference
forward to it.
yeah, that's the great thing about being a college football coach. That my resume's on TV every Saturday at 3:30, and some people's resumes, they might have a bad year, but no one knows about it. No one cares about it. So I'd rather have it that way. Again, you come to App to get a world class degree and play for championships. And we don't shy away from that, and that's what's made us so good for such a long time. And we were a good team last year. The ball didn't bounce in our favor at times.
Well, Coach, let's look at the other side of the ball. You lose Hampton. He goes to the NFL. You got 4 starters returning. What's the defense looking like this year up front and in the back end?
Well, we were able to bring back Coach Sloan. Coach Sloan and I were assistant coaches together under Scott Satterfield, and Scott's been a defensive coordinator at Georgia Southern, and then he went to Army this past year as a co-coordinator. And so I know there's a lot of similarities to our defense from last year. But I told Scott, man, listen, this is your defense. This is App's defense, but you have to run it how you run it. You're not like other coordinators in the past. Put your flavor on things and put your certain twist on stuff. But I like our defense. We were able to fill some holes to the transfer portal. The portal was good to us in many ways. We brought in Shawn Collins from Rutgers, who's been a pleasant surprise for us. A big Mike Fletcher from Michigan State. We brought in Thomas Davis from Miami to play our outside linebacker position to fill when one of our players went into the portal. We brought some safeties in, but the nucleus of our team is going to be guys that were here, but able to fill some voids in the defense to really give some quality depth. And that's one thing I learned the hard way last year is through the portal you can get starters, but you also can get great quality depth, and that's what we went out and did. I think we're more deep in the back end as we've ever have been, and we're deep on the front line. So I like our defense, and we're playing fast right now. We've simplified some things, and again, everyone's sleeping on App State right now, and I like that because since I've been here since 16, we've had a target on our chest, and now we're the hunter instead of the hunted.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest questions. I was trying to think of a way to word it without sounding offensive. I just feel like the defense last year gave a lot of big plays, and I'm just curious to know what was going to be done. So you're thinking more depth, and it sounds like the transfer portal's been working well for y'all for this camp.
It has.
Yeah. I mean, really, Coach, like the last thing I kind of want to know for the fans out there that don't exactly know exactly what all about fall camp. I mean, what time are these kids starting in the mornings? Or are they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Because I know there's a grind. You got football practice, you got workouts, you got weights. They meet about 2 or 3 times. They eat, they meet. What is the life of an App State football player today?
Well, it's a little different than when we played. There's no such thing as 2 days anymore. So that has changed. That has
crazy.
changed some things, and
Everybody's in
but
shorts. Yeah, the physical practices are in shorts, right?
they are. It's but our kids training room opens at 6:30, and if you're on the injury report, it's mandatory to be there by 6:30. Breakfast between 7:30 and 8:30. We have a team meeting at 9 o'clock, and from there we go from 9 to 10:30 in meetings. And we have we have meetings in the classroom, so we have a little walkthrough there, and we get about an hour and a half for lunch, and we're on the field at 1:45 for walkthrough at 2 o'clock practice, and then we go for 2 hours, and then we go to dinner, and then we're back to another team meeting, another watch film, then we go back and walk through. So as your install goes, it's a install, you walk through it, you practice it, you review it, put it to bed. So our kids are going to have anywhere from 10 to 10 back at next day. So day in some ways, but make it fun throughout the evening for our players.
I don't know about you, Jess. I'd probably rather be on the field than sit in meetings in camp.
It was. I mean, I'll say I hated camp. I hated it. I'd really enjoy the team camaraderie. The locker room before and after practice was great, but you're right. Just man,
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, Jeff,
you threw footballs into a garbage can.
Yeah, we know.
I'm talking
We did.
about
We'd hand them off. I had to do all the conditioning you guys had to do.
We did pre-practice for 10 periods before the freaking practice started.
Yeah, I had to get out there and get stretched out, loosened up, threw
Jeff,
about 100 balls before you even get started.
Well, Jesse, and I know Coach Clark will agree with me here. The problem with camp for a lineman, Jeff, and you wouldn't understand anything about this, is you miss a block at 8 a.m., period 3, half line pods. Nobody sees it. It's one of those deals. You're over there with the 2s and 3s, so the head of the GA watched it. Okay. But in the back of your mind that you're going to watch that on film at 9 p.m. after dinner. And so for those 12 hours, the rest of the day as a lineman, you're just thinking about that 1 out of 55 snaps where you screwed up, and that O-line coach is going to, verbally assault you 12 hours later. Am I right, Coach Clark?
And that happens sometimes, we can't verbally assault anymore, but we can have our own little twist of things, if you will. But that's the thing about offensive linemen, that they put us in a dark room and cover us in and mud sometimes. All I say is, hey, go block the 5 most dangerous guys. Well, hell, that changes a lot, and doesn't matter what happens if you miss a tackle. The corner he always points out the left tackle as, hey, well, why did you miss that block? Well, why'd you overthrow the receiver by 30 yards just now? So but it has to be the offensive lineman that gets blamed for things.
The average fan, and I said this earlier, they just don't understand all that goes into fall camp. I mean, these players are, like you already explained the schedule, but these football players, these offensive linemen, these guys are doing walkthroughs. Hell, when I was doing camp back in 2012, the walkthroughs were just as hard as practice. And then again, if you did have a bad practice and for some reason it did not make the film clip at 9 p.m., now you losing sleep because next morning, first day in the morning, you're going to get your ass chewed because of a missed block. But even though we complain about it, it is a building moment for the 4 weeks. The team gets close together and it prepares you for the long haul going in from September all the way through December.
Those are the times that make you a championship caliber program. The tough times you go through, and sometimes it only takes a little pat on the butt. Hey, man, listen, hey, next time, let's go, move on. And as an offensive lineman, you have to have a short memory. If you're a left tackle and give up a sack, if you keep thinking about that thing all through the game, then you'll get up several more sacks. So it's still a fight-o, man. Forget it and drive on and go to the next play. But our kids have been exceptional through camp. I can promise you that. And they're tired of hitting each other right now. And we're looking forward to this Gardner-Webb game here in a few weeks.
Coach, this is my last thing, and I'm going to be done asking questions. But I have to know. I mean, you got Coach Summerall over there at Troy in the West at the Sun Belt. Hey, you got him last year. Hell of a pass, hell of a Hail Mary pass, hell of a win. But I have to know, in both of your prime, John Summerall, Shawn Clark, who wins one-on-one Oklahoma drill? The fans need to know.
Man, that's a tough question. I got a lot of respect for John. Again, they're conference champions, so you can't take much away from them. But App State's a football school, and I think the Big Blue, that's a basketball school, isn't it?
He did play at Kentucky. That is true. I wonder if he can guard the 3-point shot. We do not know. Good answer, Coach. That's a good answer.
Coach, I want to shift gears just a little bit. I know we're pressed for time, but so you mentioned the game day coming to Boone for the first time in school history. So aside from the 2 times that the group of 5 guys have come to Boone, was game day coming to App State the most special moment since you've been there, you think?
Yeah, it has been. I was one of the first. It's hard to do a first here at App State. And then I think it really goes back to after the A&M game, and we're getting ready to get on the plane and we have a flat tire. And, we don't leave College Station until 6:30 the next morning. And you have all anticipation. We tell the team that night that game day is coming to Boone. And then you get into Boone about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's probably 6,000 or 7,000 people here waiting for us to congratulate us. And then you have to also – I do about 4 or 5 interviews a week on camera. And that week, if I'm not mistaken, it was 42 or 45 interviews on camera that week. And that was a tough week. But the momentum building up to game day here in Boone, the town was electric. And, you bring in all the big shots that come in and how it's set up and how it's ran. It's a production. And what that did for our school, that's like the Michigan win in some ways. They did an economic impact study on college game day coming to Boone, and what it did for our university. It was over a $500 million infomercial for 3 hours. And applications have went up, enrollment's going up. So you can't tell me that football doesn't matter, and especially in the group of 5 here in the Sun Belt.
Sprouse, I'm very impressed. I didn't realize that the Hail Mary game for Troy, that was college game day. So hell of a transition there, Matthew. Good job.
What? I don't know what you're talking about there.
I was talking about Summerall and the Hail Mary pass. I forgot that was the same day that college game day was there for Troy, for App State. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a great day on the mountain. And that's when the fans rushed the field, and I couldn't find Coach Summerall after the game. I went to the locker room and congratulated on a great game because they played lights out, and we were fortunate enough to get a win. But that's what college football is about, and that's I'm so proud of in the Sun Belt that we can have those kind of games. And I'm sure when we go back to Troy here in a few years that it's going to be a sold-out crowd there. And if you look all across the Sun Belt's attendance is up, and that's something we're proud of. And I think if you put a great product on the field, great players and great coaches, that it's only going to get better in time.
Yeah, and you said it too. Football matters, and what you think about that one win versus Texas A&M and what it did for your entire town. You know, economics wise, the applications go up to the school. I'm sure now we say it all the time. Now they can be a little more picky, letting students into school. Then your professors get better. Everything gets better with football and making that investment. And App State's one of the great places in the group of five that has done it, invested in football, taken pride in the program. But Coach, we're gonna let you go. As always, we're rooting for you. We thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna catch up with you again. I think, in a couple of weeks into the season. But we appreciate your time. We appreciate everything App State football has done for the group of five guys. Thank you.
It's saying back to you guys. I appreciate what you guys do for us and everyone in the group of five. And it's great football. And there's a lot of teams out there in the so-called Power Five programs don't want to play us. I can promise you that. And that's just not App State. That's everyone in the Sun Belt.
Love it.
Couldn't have said it better. Real football. Real college football.
Right. That's right. Coach Clark, App State for the third time tied for the group of five guys lead. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks, Coach. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
I got to tell you, every time, Jeff, every time we have a coach on, I'm buying in.
I know.
App State, I think we all thought they were going to be a lot better this year, but then you talk to them and just the confidence and the expectation. They're going to be a better team.
Well, what's more impressive to me is the fact that they're talking about using their quarterbacks who are more athletic now as a tool in the running game. Not that they didn't use it. Chase Bryce did a fine job taking off last year. But if you're talking about actually designing offensive plays to take advantage of the skill set that these athletic quarterbacks have, that is a game changer on offense, because now defenses have to account for that extra blocker in the box. I mean, it just changes the dynamic of that offense. So that's gonna be awesome to watch and see. He said they're gonna announce that starter next week. Sounds like it's gonna be Berger, but that Joey kid, he's a DVC transfer. That's up in my neck of the woods. Those JUCO California kids are some ballers.
It's got to put a little I should have asked him this. It's got to put a little pressure on him when the quarterback has an NIL deal. We talked about that in the offseason.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I know, no disrespect to the Cardinal in Boone, North Carolina, but they're not, Boone T. Pickens with that kind of money. I don't think, but you might have that situation where they're like, hey, look, I'm giving $100K or what, a year. Like, you better play Ryan Berger, damn it.
It's a smaller scale, like NFL first round pick, right? Do you want to go put the guy out there and play him, or you want to keep the guy that's been there? What I wanted to just what I think is interesting is they always say they ignore the noise. I think he is amped up. Them boys are out there popping, doing it. He's talking about inside drill for a pretty long time. They are going to run the ball this year.
Yeah.
You called it Sprouse months ago. That's going to be a physical team. And I know why they're doing an inside drill, they got to get that defense tougher. That defense gave a lot of big plays last year. And he seems pretty excited about the defensive side of the ball. So I have them going to the championship game. And I know y'all think they're going to be a pretty good team as well. It's going to be exciting in Boone.
Yeah, well, and he mentioned their team speed, which, when we had, I think this was before we had Coach Clark on, but we had Coach Watts on the first time we had an App State coach on. And they talked about App State's defense typically being undersized, but with a lot of speed. And I mean, you wonder if it's all going back to what you think of as App State. And I'm not saying they weren't undersized with a lot of speed last year, but it seems like the focus is. I'm with you, Jess. I think he said, forget it and drive on. We all know what the real phrase is, and I think that's what they're doing.
Gardner Webb better come with it.
Boy. Yeah, they better
come with it.
Well, they're going to take care of business at Gardner Webb, but that stretch after that, at North Carolina, East Carolina at home, and then at Wyoming, man, they're going to get tested.
That Wyoming game is interesting.
They're going to get tested real quick.
Because Wyoming's very physical.
Very physical.
They're a ground and pound game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ground and pound team.
Great defense, and they pound the rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
take the under.
I'm gonna say the black and yellow team wins.
There you go. Well, Coach Clark, thank you so much again for coming on. Thank you to App State. App State as a program has been one of the most supportive and helpful of us, their fans, their coaches. So shout out to them. So all you other sensitive fan bases out there in the Sun Belt, they get mad about us being App State. I mean, help us. We, scratch my back, I scratch yours. That's what we do. But so thank you to Coach Clark, third time coming on. So we definitely appreciate that. If you do like the show, you like the podcast, go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, search Group of Five Guys, subscribe, like, share, comment, give us a 5-star rating and review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Go to all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Give us a follow. We'd love to have you there. Or you can go to group-of-5guys.com, get you some Group of Five Guys swag. A couple shows that we've had in the past couple weeks, all 5 Group of Five conference previews. Check those out on all the podcast platforms. We've had interview with Colorado State offense coordinator Matt Mummy, UAB defensive back coach Kenneth Gilstrap, and then here we just had Shawn Clark. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Out of here.